Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the January Spotlight edition for the Farmington Public Schools. And Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2022. Today, it is my pleasure to have a wonderful group of students from Farmington High School, along with their teacher, who you're going to meet shortly, to talk about not only a wonderful class assignment, but an incredible community-based project. So I will ask first our teacher, Mr. Russell, to introduce himself. If you could, Mr. Russell, tell us a little bit about your background, what you teach, what class you have these wonderful young ladies in, and maybe how long you've been in the district, and then we'll turn over to the students.
Okay, thank you. I'm Tim Russell. I've been in the district. This is my 28th year. I was a psych and English major. I taught English for a lot of my career, and now I've been teaching mostly psychology. I've been teaching IB psychology for about 8 years and been loving it. And it's because I get to work with great students like these. I also coach varsity soccer for girls and boys here at Farmington. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Russell. Let's turn it over to the students. If you could, one by one, introduce yourself, tell us what grade you're in, and maybe just a tad bit about the class and what you like about the class you have with Mr. Russell.
Hi, my name is Shahitha. I'm a junior at Farmington High School. I'm part of the IB program. And what I love about the class is the jokes that we have every single day.
Hi, my name is Amatula. I'm also a junior in IB, and I take IB psychology. And I love the openness in class and like the discussions that we have.
I'm Amy. I'm also a junior at Farmington and an IB student. And one of my favorite things about IB psychology is probably just the stories that Mr. Russell tells when we're learning about all our topics.
Fantastic. Well, 3 juniors, and we all know that junior year of high school is really, really hard. So kudos to you for taking on the extra challenge of taking such a challenging class and the IB classes. Mr. Russell, it's my understanding that these students are in your class and that there was an assignment that maybe kind of led to the project that we're talking about in January Spotlight here. Can you tell us a little bit about that assignment and kind of what led to that project?
Well, one of the units that we do in IB Psych, we pick what are called options. And one of the options is the health option. And one of the units in the health option is the stress unit, where we learn about the causes of stress, means of stress reduction, biological effects, cognitive effects, all that kind of thing. So we've studied a lot of stress coping methods and, what happens if you don't figure out a way to cope with stress. And it's become very relevant, obviously, during the pandemic because everybody's got unusual stressors. Kids are dealing with stressors that adults can't really help them with because we've never been through a pandemic or online learning or anything like that. So I chose that option out of the ones that were available because I wanted students to learn about what psychology has to offer for healing before there are problems, kind of staying healthy.
Mm-hmm. And equally focusing on your mental health as well as your physical health.
Right.
Wonderful. So you were charged, ladies, with this project that you had to do, obviously in the mental health realm. Maybe we can start with Amy. Can you just share with us, how did you begin the conversation about what you wanted to do? And then we can just kind of walk down the line with your friends here and tell us about the project that you came up with.
So we always knew that we wanted to do a team event, and out of those, we weren't exactly sure what to do in the beginning. So we originally had an idea, but we realized we weren't very passionate about it. So we ended up changing our idea to community awareness, which is the event that we ended up participating in. And so a few months into school, we realized that just a lot of our peers were really stressed with coming back from a year and a half of virtual learning, which is why we ended up choosing stress, because it was just something that was really prominent in our surrounding community.
And I think we realized that we were passionate about stress a lot through IB psychology, because in that class, we were consistently learning about different methods of coping with stress. We were consistently learning about different psychologists who were studying about stress, a bunch of experiments with stress, and like the science behind stress. And so that definitely helped us choose our ultimate, wanting to make the community more aware about stress.
Wonderful. Sharhitha, Amy mentioned a project or participation in an event. It's my understanding that you're part of an organization called HOSA, HOSA. Can you tell us what HOSA means and what was that event?
So HOSA stands for Health Occupational Students of America, and it's essentially a school club where students that aspire to be future health professionals can come together and participate in events. And there's lots of different types of events. There's study events where you learn about a certain occupation, for example, and you take a test on it. For us, we chose a team event, and there were quite a few team events, but we thought community awareness was the one that spoke to us the most. And in this event, we raised awareness on a certain health topic that we're passionate about. And through that, we decided to do stress and raise awareness about it in our district.
So you entered this competition. Amatullah, can you tell us a little bit about it? And maybe I won't steal your fire, but we're curious what place you finished in.
Well, regionals was just in December, and we were fortunate enough to get first place. Very, very happy because of that.
Right.
And so, obviously, that just fueled us to do better for states. But basically, because we chose this community awareness and because we were consistently getting more survey responses with, like, we were getting kids in our school to fill out like Google Forms, fill out surveys and questionnaires. We were educating them and making websites and infographics and all of this stuff that we had learned in IB psychology and our outside research and all of the people that helped us with it. We used all the information that they gave us and we consolidated it into something easy for students to use.
What a wonderful, wonderful project, and congratulations on, of course, your first place. Amy, Amatullah mentioned a website. Is the website something that's up and running for students now in the school? And how have you kind of organized the website into helpful tools for students? And is it available for staff or others as well?
So we pretty much created the website to be accessible to everybody. So it was sent out on the district listserv so students and their families could get access to it. And we also sent it to our Farmington High School teachers so they could send it to their classrooms. Wonderful. But it's pretty much organized. So there's information about what stress is, the negative effects, and also the impacts that it has and ways to cope with stress. That way you can learn more about the negative effects of stress and why you need to find ways to cope with it instead of just letting it become a mountain that you're kind of buried under.
Absolutely. Mr. Russell, is this something that you normally see with students that are in your class that actually also participate in HOSA, or is this unique for this year?
Well, that's one of the great things about HOSA is that the students that, they're already doing a lot of work in their IB classes, and I have to say that this class is particularly positive and hardworking. They kind of feed off of one another. But one of the nice things about HOSA is that they get that opportunity to extend their classroom learning, and they've done such an amazing job with this because when it does come to their May exams in their senior year when they're doing their IB exams,
Sure.
This is just going to help them remember it 10 times more than others probably because they're doing so much work with it. They're developing that arborization up in the brain. So
absolutely. Yeah, and helpful, very practical application to a young person's lives, and indeed for all of us, we can benefit. Okay, so ladies, you have the final question to answer, and this is the key that we want to know. What have you learned, and what are maybe each of you give us your top 2 or 3 recommendations for how we can reduce and manage stress in our lives based on your research? Let's start with Sharhitha.
My top recommendation would be reframing. We actually just talked about this like a few minutes ago in Mr. Russell's psych class, but reframing is essentially learning to view your stress and your stressors in a new way. Like, for example, us 3, we were like kind of nervous about doing this, but Mr. Russell was like, think of it as a way to it's just a conversation where you're getting recognized. It's not like an interview or anything, and through that way we reframed it, and I was a little nervous, but I'm not nervous anymore.
That's wonderful. Amatullah, how about you?
honestly, reframing is probably the top thing because most of our things go below reframing and have some sort of connection to reframing. But I would also say that some of the things with like meditation and yoga are very simple and very easy ways to relax your mind. And it puts your mind out of all of the thoughts that are always there, all of the negative thoughts that are constantly swarming in your mind. It focuses on like your breathing, or it focuses on one thing, and it doesn't make you feel super stressed and super out of control.
Absolutely. And, many people are kind of intimidated of meditation. They don't think that they can do it. And so, related to meditation is mindfulness, as you know. And so just even being mindful in the moment for a short period of time, 30 seconds, to just think about breathing and being in the moment. Sometimes just that alone can kind of relax you to move on to the next, part of your day. And Amy, you can bring it home for us. What are your recommendations based on your research for how we can manage and reduce stress in our lives?
Still adding on to the reframing idea, just we often catastrophize. So we take small issues and we think of the worst possible situation, and it just seems really, really bad. But if you can find a way to rethink your mindset, these like bad situations that are giving you stress really aren't that bad.
What great advice, because we've all been there where our mind goes to the worst case scenario, and it's kind of bringing it back to more of a realistic view of what we're trying to encounter. So I'll finish with Mr. Russell. I think it's fair to say you have to be proud of this group of students, as I'm sure of all of your students. But I guess when you think of kind of your teaching of this class and the expansion to this actual practical learning, what are your reflections on kind of the power of education with our young people?
Well, it says a lot about them that they're willing to run with it, because we know that a lot of our students are learning for a few points or a grade, and they're deciding that, no, this is very applicable. Sorry, my lights just shut up. They're very applicable and practical for our lives. And the more you do it, that's the one thing about, you said it, like meditation and mindfulness are intimidating. The more you do it, the better your brain gets at it. And it's like any skill. So I'm glad that they're starting early and that they decided not to just learn about it, but share it with people.
Well, what a wonderful gift that you've given to all of us. And we're also very proud that you're going to be recognized at the Board of Education meeting. And so we look forward to having that conversation later this evening. And I thank you so much for taking time out of your day for sharing with us your project. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.